Alright Strummer, welcome back, and we're still talking about open chord changes in this video. This is part 2 of a training series that I give my students. So if you need to access part 1, you can just follow the link down the bottom in the description and get onto that first, because you're going to need that first before we dive into this section. Alright, and this section is just about a fast way to learn the open chords. Alright, and it's still work to be done, that's a given, but this is one of the fastest ways, if not the fastest way, that I know how to get you those open chord changes so they're quick, smooth, effortless, and get you right into there playing songs. All right, let's go for it. Okay, let's look at a fast way to learn these open chord shapes, these 8 most common open chord shapes. So let's start with our G. So second finger there, third finger, and our pinky right up on top. Now, we're just going to strum this. We're only going to strum it once. We're not looking at doing a strumming pattern on any of these, but we're going to strum the G chord. Right? And then what I want you to observe to get to the C chord is this little shape here, fingers 2 and 3. Now, this does not move. Well, sorry. Does not change, it definitely moves. All right, so all we're going to do is take our second and third finger down one string. Okay, so from the G chord, we're just going to take that, we're going to lift the pinky off because we don't need it for the C chord, and we're just going to take this fingers 2 and 3 down one string. So you might just want to practice that, just moving that to get going. Okay, because that's what we got to really focus on, and you'll see it come to play as we move through the chords. So we got the G, we're going to move that into the C, and then bring our first finger down. Okay, now ideally we're going to get all these fingers moving together, but like to get started you're going to need like little baby steps to get there. All right, so G chord, take your pinky off, move your second and third down one string, keep the same shape, and then bring your first finger in. Okay, so that's G to the C. All right, let's look at the C to F. All right, so our C shape, all we're going to do, and this is where that is fingers 2 and 3 is going to come in place. We're just going to take fingers 2 and 3 again down one string towards the floor. Right, so the shape stays the same. It's the same as the G chord, into the C chord, and then the F. So they just come down the strings there, but stays in the same fret. Okay, so from the C chord, what we're going to do though is, yes, we're going to move fingers 2 and 3 down, but what I would suggest is try and get this first finger laid over a little bit. So lay that over and then bring these down. Right. So it's a little tricky. Okay. Now, if you can't get that first finger flat, and that's really common, hence why it's called an F chord for a reason, what I suggest is just lay that first finger when you're going from the C over a little bit, and if you get that muted, top string muted, that's perfectly fine for now until the hand learns to relax and move into position. All right, so you got the C chord. We're going to roll that finger a little bit. If you can get it flat across the 2 strings, great. If not, get a muted thing going on there, and then just bring fingers 2 and 3 down as we've just discussed. So C, sorry, let's do a C. Let's do it again. So that's the C to F chord. All right, a less common change, but like still really good one to get our hands developed is the F to D chord. It doesn't come up a lot, but you will need it if you want to play songs like Old Man by Neil Young. He uses this change. All right, so from our F chord, what we're going to do, the most important thing is to keep fingers 2 and 3 in that same shape. Right? Because what we're going to do this time, instead of moving one string at a time like we did for this G to C and C to F, we're going to drop this shape fingers 2 and 3, 2 strings now. We're going to jump and bring it down. So your second finger is going to go on fret 2 there of the first string, and your third finger is going to come there on the second string there. All right, so frets, that's like the 2 and 3 for the F chord, and then just jump down 2 strings and keep it nice and relaxed and just move it down those 2 strings. Because once it's there, you're going to, because you first, sorry, I forgot, you take your first finger off for this change from the F. So we don't need the first finger there. We jump this down and then bring our first finger onto the second fret there of the third string. So we've got the F, jump down 2 frets, bring the first finger in, into the D chord, all right? I just had to adjust there, but that's exactly what you got to do. All right, and then once you practice those pairs, I would practice working those 4 like this. So you get the G chord, C chord, F chord, D chord, back to F, C, G. And then just work through them slowly. Alright, and another good helpful thing that you can do, because what we want to do is get this left hand developed. So what you can do with no strumming involved, you can practice the chord changes just sitting there in front of the TV or wherever and just work those shapes through. You're not making any sound, so you're not, if other people are watching TV with you, you're not going to be annoying or anything like that. And you can just focus on the TV and work those shapes, all right? Or alternatively, sit in front of a mirror, a long mirror, and just watch your hand, right? All that is really good practice. Again, you want to keep the hand nice and relaxed as you go, all right? But just take it at your own pace. All right? All right, let's look at the D to A shape change now. So our D, first finger, second finger, third finger, just like you've done in the diagram. And this time we've got a pivot finger. So what I mean by that, we've got a finger that's going to stay in place. And this is our first finger. It shares the same note, same position as the D to the A chord. So what we can do is just leave our first finger there, lift off the second and third finger and bring them around into position of your A chord there. All right, and same when you go back to D. It's just that finger stays there as a pivot as you move the rest of the hand around. All right, so D, A. All right, just take it slow, no rush for it, and the more relaxed you can be, the easier that change becomes. All right, A to E chord change. Right, so our A chord, we've got it there. So the first finger is the key for this one. The good thing is we're going to use what we call a sliding finger on this one. So our first finger, which is on the third string there, slides down 1 fret to the first fret. So from the second fret, slides back to the first fret. Right? And then these 2 fingers, 2 and 3, move up to strings 5 and 4. So basically, these fingers follow each other, but they just close up as they move over. Because we're jumping the strings and moving up. So the second finger, moves up 1 string. This one moves up 2 strings. Try and do that together. All right? Just get that going. So you've got your A chord, slide down, move up. And to do reverse, you just slide, take these off, move up, place down. So lift off, slide, place down, lift off, slide, place down. Right? So we've got the A, E chord, A, okay? And just keep working it nice and relaxed as possible. All right, let's look at the E to A minor change now. So this shape, fingers 1 there on the 3rd string, 1st fret, and our other 2 fingers on string 5 and 4 at the 2nd fret. All right, so we've got our E chord. All we're going to do to get to the A minor is just keep the exact same shape. So you want to lift off your fingers and move it down 1 string. All right, that's all we're going to do. Right? You don't want fingers flying off like that. You just want to keep it nice and move down. All right, so work that. All right, so your E chord, all 6 strings, A minor, from the 5th string down. E, A minor. All right, so we're just keeping that shape, and we can move that back and forth, change it as we like. All right, let's look at the A minor to E minor change now. So we've got our A minor chord in position there. And all we're going to do for the E minor is very similar to what we've just done with the E major, but you're just going to take your 1st finger off because you don't need it for this minor chord, and then just bring those fingers 2 and 3 up 1 string towards the roof, and strum all 6 strings. So you got the A minor, moving in, right? So there, lift off the 1st finger, lift off these, bring it up, place down. Right? Lift off, place down, put your 1st finger in. Okay? So like we did with the first 4 chords, G, C, F, and D, we can do the same with these. And I would recommend these last few chords, and I would recommend starting on the D chord. So we've got the D, A, E, A minor, E minor, right? And then work backwards. So you got E minor, A minor, E, A, D. And just as a little bonus, that E, A, D is very, very popular change. So if you keep your 1st finger on that 3rd string, so you got your E, got your, move it up for the A, then leave it there for the D and just pivot into the D. Right, it's a very popular change. But just work through all those chords there all the way through. All right, and when you get back to the E minor chord, what you can do is to start all over again, to get back to the G chord, again, pivot finger comes into play here. We're going to keep our 2nd finger there on the 5th string and just move this finger from the 4th string up to the 3rd fret. You'll notice that this 2nd finger does slide into the fret a little bit more, and then so you can get your 3rd finger right over, and then put your pinky into position. So E minor, G. Right? That's a very popular change too. It comes up in lots and lots of songs. So you think Brown Eyed Girls, a lot of CCR songs use this change. Okay? Alright. And that's how I recommend getting through these 8 most common open chord shapes. So if you're working through your open chords, and of course they do take some time to get there, and you're still not playing songs yet, and you want an easier way to get into that so you can work on playing songs plus your open chords on the side, check out my Ultimate 4-Chord Songbook. It's designed just for adult beginners. There's 10 easy songs to play. They're all broken down into bite-sized pieces, just short little instructional videos for you to follow along and play songs starting today. And if you choose, there is also a weekly coaching in there that you can get access to. Plus, you get access to a community of other guitar players just like you who are looking to play songs for fun. So check out this link here and just follow that and you'll get access to the Ultimate 4-Chord Songbook. It's a lot of fun there, so I hope to see you on the inside. All right, bye for now.